As a reminder, the group sessions for the Seven Deadly Sins are going to start next weekend. And so if you want to sign up for that, you can click the link in the description box below. Next weekend is the males only, and then the weekend after that is the males and females. And it is $20 to sign up, but that's only to weed out the people that are not sincerely wanting to be a part of it. Now, with that being said, the topic for today's Semen Retention Sunday, is how semen retention can heal and affect your attachment style. Now, what exactly is an attachment style? An attachment style is how you operate in your relationships. And for today, I want to bring up the screen here, and we're going to go in a little bit more detail on the attachment dimensions and then the attachment styles themselves, and how to determine what kind of attachment style you have so that you can heal from it, and what semen retention does in order to help you heal from it. So, the whole purpose for creating a secure attachment style, if you're not secure already, is to create secure bonds that are everlasting, that are kept well, and that you keep the good times rolling. That's really what a secure attachment style is. Now, it's about 25, 25, 25, and 25% of the population have each of these attachment styles. So if you're in the secure attachment style range, you're probably 1 in 4 people in the world that have this kind of attachment style, as well as all of the others. Now, what this secure attachment style really comes down to is self-control over self-indulgence. And this is where semen retention really comes into play, because a lot of the times when we're in semen retention, well, when we're not in semen retention, or even if you're a woman watching this and you're choosing to be celibate, which semen retention and celibacy is pretty much the same thing, and men and women have similar effects when they go on celibacy. I've seen, out of all of the women that I've talked to that have been celibate, have seen progress in certain ways that are very similar to the semen retention benefits as well. However, with men, it's a little bit more different, just because we have different hormones and different programming and biological programming, that is, and psychophysiological functions. However, with that said, the anxious attachment style is going to be low avoidance and high anxiety. The anxious avoidant is going to be high avoidance and high anxiety. The avoidant attachment is going to be low anxiety and high avoidance. And then the secure is low anxiety and low avoidance. So I used to be in the sense of either the avoidant or the anxious avoidant attachment style. And it took a long time for me to get to the place to where I can confidently say that I'm in the secure attachment dimension now. And the reason for that is because what I realized is that I just needed to calm down, because I had a lot of anxiety that didn't need to be there. I had a lot of times where I didn't know how to approach certain things and certain boundaries that I wanted to set with certain kinds of people. I didn't know how to do these things. And it was only when I started to really put boundaries with people, the things that I did like about their behavior and the things that I didn't want to see any more of that out of their behavior. And if they were to cross that boundary, my attention would be removed. It's a very simplified way of behavioral psychology. That's all that boundaries really are when it comes down to it. But if you have a avoidant attachment style, the likelihood that you're going to attract anxious attachment style people over here in the top right quadrant is going to be very high. And the reason for this is because what are these people missing out of their life? The anxious attachment style is really scared of abandonment, whereas the avoidant is really scared of neglect. And then the anxious avoidant, which is essentially the fearful avoidant, is scared of both of those things. The secure attachment can, like, obviously there's a fear of it. We all have this innate fear of abandonment or of neglect in some way. That's deep rooted in our psychology and biology altogether. But the secure attachment style person is going to be able to handle it a lot easier and a lot simpler in a non toxic way if that is the case. Now, I have a second image here that I want to go through. And so these are just more, this is just more information regarding each attachment style. So the secure attachment style is going to be warm and caring, trusting and forgiving, boundaries, open and honest, etc., etc. The anxious attachment style, which is the top right quadrant, is going to have a lack of boundaries. So this is going to be a lot of modern women, to be honest with you. A lot of modern women I've noticed have this anxious attachment style. They're very sensitive to critiques and information that are not going to accommodate their own beliefs, and they have a very big fear of abandonment. I think that's one of the reasons why social media has become so powerful for a lot of different kinds of women, is because they never have this fear of abandonment, but yet it's almost like the threshold for how much attention they need goes up. And so even though they may not only need like this much, they may only need this much attention, they're so used to getting gratification for this amount up here that even if they just get a little bit lower than what they really need, their psychology shows and tells them like, oh, we're not getting enough like attention, we're not getting enough satisfaction, and then they get freaked out, and then that's when they go do the modern women things. And then in the bottom right corner here, disorganized, which is also considered to be the anxious avoidant or fearful avoidant. This is going to be the inability to self-regulate, having intimacy and trust issues, a tendency to disassociate themselves from their situation or their surroundings. There's going to be a kind of apathy as well. And there's going to be a fearful of closeness. So they want the closeness, but they're also fearful of the trust and the intimacy with other people. This is where semen retention can really help you. I've noticed a lot of men have avoidant and then fearful attachment styles. And this, in this case, it says disorganized, but we can call it anxious avoidant or fearful avoidant. And I've noticed a lot of men have avoidant or fearful avoidant attachment styles. And the reason I think that is because we are taught to be nice guys, or we're taught to display our feelings now and blah, 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 blah. And yet when we do that, we get this backlash. We get this kind of critique of not being a man. And to be honest with you, I think that's okay. Like, I don't think men need to be showing their emotions all the time. I don't think men need to be showing how they feel. A lot of the times, being a man is just being able to feel the emotions and yet do what's necessary to act in accordance to the highest spiritual channels. That's what I genuinely believe. And it can be very challenging for us to go through these kinds of things when we're told just lies and lies about society. And so the avoidant, which is in the bottom left quadrant here, there's a fear of closeness as well. They like to avoid conflict, which I don't think for any man that's going to be helpful. They're emotionally distant. This is kind of like the daddy energy, I guess you could say, but in an unhealthy way. They're highly logical, which I think is okay and good, but they're unresponsive to their partner. They're not able to create a meaningful connection. Now, how do you create a meaningful connection? Well, on semen retention, it's going to be very natural for you. It's going to be very natural. You won't even have to try. And you'll just like go through it. It's truly amazing how naturally you can just create a connection with people. And sometimes you just want to be careful on who you're creating connections with, because a lot of the time when you create connections, because like 3 out of 4 people are going to be unhealthy attachment styles, you got to really vet who you're dealing with. Because if they're not in the secure attachment style in the top left quadrant here, then the likelihood of them bringing hell some kind of way, shape, or form to your life is going to be exponentially high. But to go back to the avoidant attachment style, the fear of closeness is going to be a big one. I remember I had this, and it was more so, I wasn't necessarily afraid of people. I was afraid of what would happen when I got close to them. Because in my upbringing, what happened was every time there was a closeness being created, all of a sudden I would be neglected for whatever amount of time. I would be completely stonewalled. And I never understood why. So I just learned that, well, every time I get close, this person's going to go away. So why get close with somebody? I'll just stay independent. And that was my mindset. Hence the extreme independence down here in the bottom left as well. So my mindset was, well, every time I'm expressing my emotions in a healthy way, like I'm just explaining. I'm not even explaining. I'm just expressing. I'm truly expressing myself. Every time I did that when I was a kid with my caregivers, it was almost as if like I did so and then they would completely change the topic, or they would tell me that that's not what I'm feeling. And so I learned, this was a learned behavior. This was a programming of mine. I learned that if I wanted to express my emotions, I only had to do it with myself. And sometimes I got really confused with my emotions. I got really confused because I couldn't express them. And make no mistake, you have to express your emotions. I can't tell you how many times I've been on consultations with people over the phone or on Google Meet here, and I just let them talk. Like, just let them go and let them talk through their situation, because sometimes they don't even realize the spiritual knots that are twined together until they loosen one knot over here, and then that's when things start to unwind over there, and then more things over here get to make sense. So part of the whole process of semen retention, how this is going to help you, is that you're no longer just giving yourself away, but you're conserving your energy, and you're knowing who to give it to and who's going to be receptive of it. I'm very, very pleased to have been in the position that I'm in, meeting the people that I am. Of course, I have a bunch of stories of crazy people like in my community. And yes, they are crazy. They are demonic individuals. They do not follow the Most High. And I also have a lot of good stories where I've had really positive interactions. And like even just today at the gym, I was doing these pull-ups, but with these balls that I've got, where I just attach them to the pull-up bar and then do pull-ups with the pull-up balls. And this guy came over and he was like, "Hey man, like that's just super impressive. I just wanted to give you that compliment. Like that's awesome. I don't think I could do that." And that's just positive energy. And he was just being very genuine about it, and I told him thank you and wished him well, and that was that. And it's just those little things like that are going to be able to ensure that you're going to create more positive relationships down the line. And it's just as simple as giving someone a compliment like that. Like, compliments not only make the other person feel good, they can make you feel good too, especially if you're being emotionally attuned to the person in front of you. If you are being emotionally attuned to the person in front of you, your pain is their pain and their pain is your pain and their joy is your joy and vice versa. So you have empathy, and that's all part of being in a secure attachment style. And so a lot of the times when we're constantly doing PMO, which for those that have asked, I have that question frequently sometimes when I mention the word PMO, or at least the acronym PMO. What that is corn. I don't want to say the actual word because I will get flagged, but corn, masturbation, and then releasing. So you're actually participating in the orgasm of some kind. So there's certain things that you have to go about in semen retention to understand your attachment style. Once you understand your attachment style, life is going to be a lot easier. When I finally realized that, like, and I'm not saying you need to put yourself in a certain category here. What I'm saying is this is a psychological map to help you understand where you're at and what you need to do to become secure. And honestly, how I healed with my avoidant attachment was the exact opposite of everything here. Instead of being fearful of closeness, I embraced it, even if it hurt. And then instead of being distant and withdrawn, when the people that were showing up in my life that I was just ready to be genuine with, like, I just was being genuine and I was being authentic, even if it hurt. And even now, I would say I'm still fairly distant and withdrawn, but not emotionally when I'm actually communicating with people. I just don't talk to people when I'm out and about because I don't like to associate with a lot of different kinds of people, because I know that most people are insecure attachment styles. So I understand and I have compassion for them, but I understand that a lot of times we're not gonna mesh. Instead of avoiding conflict, I faced it head on. Any kind of adversity set before me, as much as I didn't want to do it, like setting boundaries, that was something I decided to do. Extreme independence. I always was the kind of person where I had to rely on myself. If I didn't rely on myself, I couldn't even operate. And that's, that I think that's healthy to some degree, like having an independence mindset. But at the end of the day, we need a team of some kind. I would not be able to be doing what I'm doing right now if it weren't for you guys watching this or listening to this right now. And I feel very blessed to have met so many different kinds of people around the whole world, which is wild. Like just super wild to think about. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work and to just communicate with people of all different kinds of cultures and backgrounds and to build the kingdom of God. But then instead of being unresponsive to people that I was talking to or emotionally distant, I would actually try to express myself authentically. And all this comes down to is just being truthful. You don't have to have a certain line when it comes to relationships with men. You don't have to have a certain line. Like there's no magic line. All you need to do is be truthful. That's it. Like just be truthful. And it sounds so cliche, like, oh, be yourself. Like just be yourself. It's fine. But really, when it comes down to it, allowing you to be yourself is going to allow the women in your life to be themselves. And when the women can be themselves and they can feel safe and they can feel secure and they can feel like they can be with you, that a guy that is fun, not necessarily funny, but a guy that is fun, that gives them a whole range of emotions, right? There's that saying, the keep them up, keep them down, keep them around. There's that saying out there. So that's one thing that men need to know how to do. I think it's not necessarily that men are boring, because a lot of the times men are boring to a lot of different women. And partially I think that's men's fault, but a lot of the times I think it's also the women's fault as well, because they're so used to the attention on social media that it's just become a drug. Attention is just, and validation has become a drug. But the men also need to know how to stimulate emotions in a healthy way. They need to know how to be fun. Like, it's more important to give a woman a wide range of emotions than it is to do anything else with her. And that comes also from being on retention, is you're going to have this natural glow about you. You're going to have this natural good milk that you hold within your seed, right? There was a psychologist, I can't remember, I think his YouTube channel is Expanded Minds or something. I can't recall. Expanded Psychology. Anyway, he had a really good metaphor that I will echo here for a second. He said, if I have good milk and I put it out for a cat, because most people are like cats, even though they don't want to think so. But if I have some milk and I put it out for the cat, and the cat comes back to my milk that I set outside, not like whenever the cat feels like it, it's just there. But whenever you're there with the cat, you're present and you're there and you're connecting with the cat, in this case, a person, like metaphorically speaking, but you guys get the gist. But if you're there and then you let the cat go and then it comes back only to yours because you have the good milk, well, then that's your cat. But if the cat is going to your milk and then somebody else's milk and then somebody else's milks around the neighborhood, that's a cat that's for the neighborhood. That's a cat that's for the streets. And in this case, that would be a man or a woman that's for the streets. If you've got the good milk, man or woman, and you set it out there, and you continue to set it out there, and you just let what kind of good cat that wants good milk be attracted to your good milk, it's going to work. It's going to work naturally. And I've seen this happen time and time again, but I've also seen the cats that are for the neighborhood try to come steal my good milk. Those are the Jezebels. You don't want to look out for those. But with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you guys. And I hope that everybody that is on retention is getting the spiritual healing and discernment and understanding that they need. I hope this message was edifying and reassuring to you as well. And peace be with you. Till next time.